fine weather today.
Hail, Wanderer. Hello. What may Durant Alagus do for you? Trading goods in Melaglir is just a necessity for me. I've always wanted to travel and study the esoteric elements of alchemy. But alas, where can one find time for such pursuits? This land is old, my friend. Old indeed. Used to be that the lords of the Alfar ruled over much of the Arathel from the keep to the east of here. But time brings change, I suppose. Now it's just the keep and this village. Melaglir was never a particularly bustling town. But with the recent disappearances and the Tuatha Raiders nearby, few visitors come here anymore. It makes me sad. The thrice-crowned king, the banded prince of Melaglir. He forged from blood a sword of sin to cut and rend and sear. From hardened hearts his people wept, tears to flood from stone unbroken, the long-forgotten truth unspoken.
Good day. Take care at night. Strange things have been happening in...
On a darkling whim she rose, gripped within impassioned throes, and I, her chosen witness proud, did fall beneath her endless shroud. Something about you reminded me of the verse. Of course, the poet was discussing death. I'm Patrick Morcan. How may I be of assistance? So good of you to stop by.
Welcome to Melaglir, the worst place you'd ever want to be stuck. Trust me. What do I know of war? I've got my own struggles to overcome. I wish the Alfar victory, but it's not as if I will see any gain from their triumphs. Ha! Melaglir. There are Tuatha about. The local lord cowers in his keep and seeds of unrest everywhere. Take me with you when you leave, will you? I'm a healer. Been stuck here for what seems like an eternity. I've been mending bones and curing sicknesses in exchange for farmers' foodstuffs.
Good day.
Welcome to Mel Aglir, last bastion of hope in all of Candrian. I grew up in the far north, son of a Losalfar trader. I couldn't have been happier. My mother spoiled me rotten. My parents were very loving and wonderful people. It is hard for me to understand why fate would take them from me so suddenly. I have not seen much of it, as I have only recently arrived in the region. I spent my childhood in the north with my father's people, the Losalfar. Growing up, my mother did not speak of her family here in Candrian. The few times she mentioned them, I got the feeling that she did not care for them. I am beginning to understand why. I tried to talk to my uncle about the Tuatha menace, but he immediately cut me off and banished me from the keep. I do not think a ruler should be so obstinate. My new home, as it were, my uncle banished me from the keep, so here I am. In truth, I do not mind. The villagers are far kinder and more pleasant to be around. They are a curse upon this world. All they bring is destruction and death. I cannot understand how my uncle can allow them to ravage this land unopposed.
Those damn Tuatha have ravaged Candrian, a pox on them.
You're not from around here, are you? I am Eli Thames, and I could use your help with a delicate task. Why, I am but a humble agent of change, endeavoring to be in the right place at the right time. Durant runs the general store here in Melaglir. He's a bit off, but he's said to have a singular knowledge of the arcane. He is Lord Indre Candrian's nephew, the son of Indre's sister, and a Losalfar trader. Thankfully, he spent his childhood in the north with his father's people. It was only recently that his parents passed away, and he was sent here to come age under the influence of Lord Candrian. Candrian was once the safest region in all of Erethel. No one dared to challenge the Candrian Guard. Now, with the Tuatha raiding up and down the coast, the Guard do nothing but protect Lord Candrian as he cowers in his keep. Indre Candrian became Lord just before the Crystal War began. When the Tuatha invaded, he retreated to his keep and refused to come out. Left all Candrian to die just to save himself and his precious family name. I'd heard it was a quiet town, but now I hear whispers of people mysteriously disappearing during the night. I haven't left the inn since I arrived. Rathir is the great city of the Dockelfar, up the coast a ways. It's old and beautiful, but don't hold a candle to Odessa if you ask me. Lord Candrian wears a large ceremonial signet ring. He removes it only to sleep. I need you to go to Candrian Keep and steal it. Ever since Indre Candrian became Lord, the Candrian Guard have not left the area around his keep. The Tuatha are raiding the Candrian coast entirely unchecked, and this gravely worries the citizens of Rathir. We wish to inspire Lord Candrian to leave his keep and drive the Tuatha back into the sea, and the ring is the first step. Excellent. I'm told that Lord Candrian keeps it in his bedroom in Candrian Keep. Obtain the ring and return to me for another task. The keep is in the southeast corner of Candrian. Supposed to be impenetrable when it's sealed, but I've heard rumors that one could sneak inside through a cavern below it. Farewell.
What'll it be? Aye, I remember Mistress Fell stayed with us not too long ago, asking questions about the disappearances. Departed in a hurry, paid up, but left her possessions behind in a chest upstairs. Mel Aglear'd be nothing but a cinder too, if we weren't a quick march from Lord Candrian's keep. I suppose his lordship could live with letting his people die, but not if he could hear 'em screaming while it happened. Been running the inn here in Melaglear all my life. My father was proprietor before me, and his father before him. Used to be we could count on travellers passing through here every week, but now we're lucky to have any visitors at all. Let me know if you discover what happened to her. I hope she's all right. Is that so? Let's take a look. That bastard! He murders my dear sister Jera in cold blood, then waits 30 years and thinks a note will make everything right. You tell Durfel that if I ever see him again, I'm going to gut him.
Hail, Wanderer.
Take care at night. Strange things have been happening in Melaglear of late.
Hello. I trust everything went well delivering the letter to Matix Dace? I'm not sure he took kindly to it. Regardless, you have completed the second labor. For your next labor, I need you to retrieve a sword, Hellbane, off the body of a great Varani blademaster known as Three Swords. Travel to the Tuwili coast, search near the shore, and follow the Tuatha bodies. Three Swords will not have fallen easily. He was called Three Swords for the three weapons he favored. He was one of the only mortals I've ever known to master the challenging art of wielding the twin Fey blades. I'm sure the Tuatha paid a mighty butcher's bill for it. News has recently come to me of the fall of a great Varani blademaster known as Three Swords. He bested me, and instead of taking my life, he took my sword, Hellbane. I want you to find where Three Swords died and retrieve the weapon. Farewell.
The Raven's the best in this side of Rathir.
have something to report.
Knock away.
From this tale that you mortals create myths. There were many battles, many losses, many victories. The Tempest spared no one. Your ancestors hid as the ground trembled under the gathered armies of Lord Olm. They whispered tales of the radiant Issa, striking the winter Fae like lightning, tearing the looming clouds. It was everything you know of war.
Hello. You have acquired Hellbane. Excellent. Now, for your next labors, I need you to collect some items. The Bloodstone, a circlet, and the Rose of Kandrian. The Bloodstone in particular must be bought. Here is some gold to do so. The circlet from the Scholia Arcana Library in Rathir, the Bloodstone from Kel's Cavity, and the Rose of Kandrian from the grave of Geradace. He is a lying, whoring, two-faced mongrel, a blight on the plains of Erethel for the better part of 20 years. Long ago, he cheated me in a game of cards, winning a gem known as the Bloodstone. I want you to get it back. Use the gold I have given you to get it back. If you can convince Kells to part with the gem for less, good. If you can't, do what you need to do. Well, if you don't have the skills to do so, take this book. Place it in the bookshelf to the left of the chest, and the chest should unlock. Let's just call it a legacy of my misspent youth, and not ask questions as to how it works. Now, go, get me that circlet. The magic of the headstone will allow the bearer of Hellbane to pull the rose from the stone as if it were alive. All right then, you'd best get going. Farewell. Ah, my favorite interloper. I trust you are doing well? The circlet is in a chest in the Scholia Arcana Library in... She was the most beautiful creature I have ever known. And she is dead. Let us leave it at that. The Bloodstone is with Kel's Cavity and Tyrion's Rest. I've given you the gold to purchase it from him. The circlet is in a chest in the Scholia Arcana Library in Rathir. You'll have to be sneaky about how you obtain it. You need Hellbane to pluck the rose from the grave of Geradace, my wife. The troubles of the war have tilted its citizenry toward a more religious bent. Tread carefully there. Few creatures are as dangerous as a true believer. Until later, then.
Approach and await the wisdom of the fates. I am the great Kells Cafferty, sworn and scrupled servant to the Sisters of Destiny. Speak, that I may divine your future, and through my gift, bless your mortal soul. I'm sure Durfel is not very fond of me. I beat him in a game of cards many years ago, fair and square. By my standards, anyway. I don't like strangers who ask a lot of questions. This town is full of old fools. Most of them will believe anything you tell them. Traditionally, this sort of transaction happens under more discreet circumstances, if you understand my meaning. Tell you what, I'll part with it for a hefty price. Very well. It's practically highway robbery, but I'm not in any condition to argue. Pleasure doing business, friend.
And you're the one who caught the wayward drunk. I surely pray that Florian ponders what he's done, a thieving in our place of prayer. Porella sermons grace and patience, but I lost a son. I'd go over there and wring every one of their evil necks. I'd come back and wring the ones on this side afterwards, for good measure. Goodbye, then.
We have a problem. Elund Karth refuses to send any troops to assist Melsenshir. The old fool never would listen to reason. I certainly hope so. We're going to need every sword we can muster. You can find him in the upper city, staring over the strait at Melsenshir. The fool might as well be at its funeral. The man is not a warrior by nature. He cannot abide another risk for this city. But he's an idiot if he thinks we will get another opportunity such as this. They're in the city, but they can't join us unless Elund Karth grants his blessing for them to go with us. Agarth has gone to reason with him. He was a fine fighter, as I recall, but I do not know if his diplomacy is as practiced.
Are you new to Rathir? Are you here for the Scholia Arcana as well? My brother is. Are you a mage? I bet you're not more powerful than he is. Oh, Varen's a silly old oaf. He's always at the sea foam, and I've never once seen him study since he came here. I've seen one of the waitresses giving him the eye, too, though he pretends he doesn't see when I'm around. I don't even know where to start. There's so much to tell. The Pradaria, of course, where all the shops and stores are. And the Keys and the Burn, and the Upper City, where my brother's school is, and also the temple and those marvelous gardens. Some merchants sell pails of fish or bolts of cloth, but Leargriff has all kinds of pretty things, and Gwalchme has anything and everything. I spent 3 whole days in the bookstore, and then I smelled every herb and powder at Rawani's. Pride of Pradari's got boring old weapons and armor. Surely you've heard of it, full of stuffy old mages and strange books, and the rooms Varen wouldn't let me go in. Just think what might be there. The northern piers are called the Keys, where merchant ships dock for trade. It's safer there, sheltered by Bracken Bay, and farther from Cluricon. Only warships dock at the Burn, and it's all soldiers there. What with the officers' hall, though the healer's there too. The tavern by the Keys. You'll find as many Varani sailors there as full Rathiri, and my lazy bones of a brother too. That's where the poor in the city live. A bit of it's overground, but the rest's in the lower tunnels. It's true, they live in caves. Oh, if you haven't been, you must go. The Scholia Arcana's there, of course, and the great houses. But the best part's the Lunar Gardens. It's always nighttime in the gardens, and so peaceful. You pass through there to the temple, which is also enchanting. The priestess is a fate weaver. Goodbye then.
Just look at it all.
Students of magic, masters of spells.
Greetings.
This is the sage crafting table. I can help you with gems and shards and the like. If you want general goods, you should speak to Master Gwalchmay over there. Oh, he's been very good to me. I knew my gems were good, but they wouldn't seem to sell in a market stall. They do better here. Oh, it's so lovely, the Lunar Gardens. Not that I've seen much else of the world. Have you? Oh, I'd be terrified to go so far. It takes great concentration. You can get lost in the work. I like that. Goodbye.
You have come to Gwalchmay's goods, provisioner to all Rathir, to high and low, great house and sparrow alike. The great families of Rathir, of course, as rich in power as in gold. Visit the upper city and see them yourself. Worth the climb if you ask me. Humble servant to great house, sparrow and soldier alike. Women and men in want of things make their way to Gwalchmay's goods. I could tell you a thing or two about this city. Did you know, for instance, that Faldra Nefari ate the 5th memorial stone? Cast a spell and ate it. I could say a thing or two about Wyvern Gif as well, if I didn't fear the consequence. Oh, him? No one knows his real name. Got that name from the way he talks. Some say he was next to the Archsage once, up Spire Top. Then a spell went wrong, or his lover fell to her death. Whatever it was, broke him it did. The first 4 are easy enough to find about the city, but the 5th, few know the truth of it. They are the rag pickers and dust grubbers of the city. Mind you, I don't let them in the front door. Appearances, not to mention odors. The Wyverns had a claim of their own, mind you, but their marriage to Gif, a scandal. I know the truth of it, but I'm not at liberty to say. Very good, then.
Curios, clasps, staves, and robes, all of the highest quality. A pleasure, I assure you. I've been supplying scholars and students alike for many a year. Those rare and potent marvels unavailable within their compound, I am happy to supply. Magic's mistress and goddess of fate, which is not but magic's deepest weave, after all. Lyria's city. Magic runs through its veins, echoes in its courts and byways. And I do my modest part. To be honest, I never actually passed the initiation trials. An oversight, I assure you. Arrogant fools. So long.
Oh, there's no use. I've lost the keys. Now Gwalchmay'll have my head if I can't think up something fast. Say, you're not good with locks, are you? Would you help a poor fellow who's down on his luck? Well, he's a good enough master all in all. Sees to it I earn every coin of my wages, though. No standing about, not in his shop. With all these people walking around, you'd figure someone would help me after I lost my keys. Me, Gwalchmay calls me lad whenever he wants me, and the others call me hardly anything at all. Just fetch this and lift that. Yes, as in, no need for keys. Ace with a lockpick. Gwalchmay wants an old red ledger from the storeroom in the customs house. Oh, I'm afraid they're lost for good. Now, I might have dropped them here, or at Kest's table the other night. But it's just as likely I dropped them in Bracken Bay after I'd had an ale or three at the Seafoam. The chest it's in, that is, yes. Although I don't know which one it is. But it's down there, somewhere. Oh, now don't worry, nothing in the storeroom's seen the light of day in years. No one will mind if you pick a few locks before you find it. The Chamber of Trade's on the way to the keys, and the storeroom's off one of the wings. Just pick any lock down there till you find the old ledger. Gets these ideas into his head. Needs this old thing, needs that new thing. This time it's shard prices by the decade. Something to do with a deal he is or isn't striking with that Carasta trader. Oh, the things they say about that Lanshi. That she talked a Jotun out of his own hammer once. And another time sold some Varani fool his own silk for twice as much, after cutting it to ribbons and winding it on spools. Chamber of Trade basement. Just head toward the keys. Oh.
Welcome to Rathir, outsider.
If you're looking for vintage Alfar spellbooks, or a copy of the original gnome census scrolls, you're in the right place. War is ugly. Perhaps if the generals did more reading, the scholars did more fighting, then everyone would better understand the pointlessness of violence. I'm studying in preparation to join the Scholia Arcana. Is there any other reason to be in Rathir? This is where magic lives. It is the only place to be if you wish to study the arcane, to see the lunar gardens, or to gain an audience with the Archsage himself.
The Watch sees all in Rathir.
Welcome, friend, to the Luminary Leaf, bookseller extraordinaire. Nearly any book you can imagine can be found here, at the Luminary Leaf, be it history, verse, or scholarship. Though, I must confess, we are not as well supplied in Gnomish texts as I would like. The ancient steps of our founder and prophet are dear to any Rathiri's heart, but mine shall always stir to the brave tales of the war-sworn of old, pitting steel and valor against chaos itself. In truth, I once thought I might be a poet, but it seems in the end I am more shepherd than ram to my flock of tomes. Ah, you see? My metaphors always run amok somehow. I cannot ascend the steps of the spire without thinking on the first lines of the Fall of Dwinian, nor espy the Wending and not recall Stone Shadows. Rathir is a city of letters. I dare anyone to say otherwise. Now, while many books can be found only within Scholia Arcana walls, others can only be found without. Gnomish texts, magical controversies. Pelewin tugs at the heartstrings. Medara's mists at dawn takes my breath away. If you seek something a bit more rough and lively, the Varani Kesseniki or Sea Chance might be worth a read. Fare thee well.
Ruwani, apothecary, alchemist, importer, and cultivator at your service. If you think yourself a bit of an amateur, you are welcome to the use of my alchemist's bench. I'm happy to sell you anything you require, and forgive any faces I make at your fitful potioneering. Oh, you've met them? Well, any friend of theirs is a friend of mine, although, truth be told, those sisters can be a little strange sometimes. I've always found the mystery of herbs and fungi far more fascinating than anything else. As soon as I was old enough, I was apprenticed to the great Rilf Janik. Were you aware that 37 varieties of vine, flower, and tree can be found here? Discounting, of course, the lunar gardens. Have you been? The true marvel of our city, if you ask me. Blossoms you will see nowhere else in Amalur. Good evening.
City Watch, be on your way.
Oh, I'm a goner.
My Lady Coriana won't eat. She won't sleep. All on account of a poor, sick Malian. Woe on House Anwan. The healers say bad blood, but my lady swears it's poison. He sleeps and sleeps, but he's never any better. Well, it's hard to say. The healers are no use. You could go to her yourself and ask. No harm in that. You'll find my lady in the house, by poor Melian's side, most likely. Here, in House Anwan. She spends most of her time by poor young Melian's sickbed. The young master's sickness, yes. He's the last one living, what with the others dead in the war. My poor lady. What grief she's known. Her daughters lost to Cluricon, and her husband to the war before that. Her son Malian is all that's left to her, and the only seed of House Anwan. Oh, my masters aren't like some up spire top. Just one name to our house, thank you very much, and nearly old as Rathir at that. There are but 2 left of Anwan blood. One soon enough if young Master Malian does not mend. Poor boy, he sleeps and tosses and turns. From the things he says under his breath, his dreams must be ghastly things. Do help my lady if you can.
Move on! The army keeps Lord in the burn. Wouldn't want to be caught cutting.
Well, before you lies the Scholia Arcana. All are welcome upon our grounds, though we ask you do not disturb the students. Did you know this spire rock was first settled by a hermit mage and his disciples? Only when Jotun marauders threatened the Twilly Bluffs did the rest seek safer refuge here. Every mortal who shows promise in the art is welcome among us. Of course, they must pass the trial. We must have standards. 600 years of magical scholarship and training. Nor did our history prevent us from accepting the younger races. The Almain and Varani, of course. It was not so many generations back that only the gnomes and Alfar possessed magic. And still, no one knows what kindled this sleeping talent in their breasts.
Good evening.
Are you here for the evaluation? I've already administered the written copies. This will have to be an oral exam. I oversee the library in the Rathir chapter. Many walk the road of knowledge, but I make sure they do so in an orderly manner. The Rathir chapter has some of the finest collections of manuscripts in the plains of Erethel. I guarantee it. Were it so easy to summarize an institution like the Scholia Arcana in a few short words, books, I think, do it slightly more justice. Members of all ranks, regardless of their skill, must always know the value of research and perception. I understand your studies with us are a unique situation, so let's consider this practice. Take this book, read it, and understand what it means to be part of our order. The Omnibus Arcana is a staple of the education in our institution. All first-year students are given a copy to study. The lessons involve an introduction to the rigors of studying magic, as well as the value of applying yourself to your studies. Each book is different for every user, but they all impart the same basic knowledge. This is the Omnibus Arcana. It is a magical text that holds the collected knowledge of our order. It is also imbued with a certain form of intelligence. Follow its directions as you would my own. This is an introductory text given to all first-year students. It's considered canon. The test begins in the courtyard. From there, you're on your own. What? Oh, right.
Come to have a look at our library, haven't you? We'll take it in. I love the campus, but there's too many people who'd rather have their noses in books than in the dirt. Can you believe it? You have the passion for craft as well. Purest form of the Scholia Arcana, I think. Directly interacting with and manipulating the magics of our world. Shame that I have no skill with it myself. There are few others around that might be of help. Or Thamnara, or Artancade. Studying magic is one thing, but it should be done while walking the plains or the woods or deserts, not in some library. Be off, then.
Idris Theonin has been managing the Scholia Arcana libraries for centuries. I hear he has a special lesson for those that are curious.